Before I start, any clip I play, I don't own the rights to this content. It's for educational purposes only. And we start with a little side note. Junto Nakatani confirms move to 122 pounds. Will vacate WBC IBF 118-pound titles. Now, what does this mean? This means we could probably look forward to Nakatani versus Inoue in 2026. An underrated super fight that us hardcore boxing fans been waiting for. When you think about Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz, you think about Canelo versus David Benavidez. To me, this fight is right up there with those, or maybe a notch below. No need for Inoue to run up to 126 when Nakatani's coming to 122. I can't wait for this fight to happen. Speaking of Ennis, let's listen to the latest update from Eddie Hearn.
Was like, well, he needed another fight. I think Boots, obviously, you guys are working on a next fight. Is the goal to get the two of those early next year now?
Yeah, I mean, we have just completed a new multi-year deal with Boots. We had a meeting with Golden Boy and DAZN to talk through the terms of the Vergil Ortiz fight, and Jaron Ennis has signed to fight Vergil Ortiz. We believe Vergil Ortiz will also sign to fight Boots, and that fight will happen in January, February of next year. Both guys are going to fight in October, but as I said, Boots has signed to fight Vergil Ortiz, and you will see that, what I believe is one of the best fights in American boxing.
We got news on Monday. Jaron Boots Ennis return on October 11th against Yusima Lima on DAZN. Who is Yusima Lima? Yusima Lima is 14-1 with 10 knockouts. 32 years old. He's the IBO champion. This is a WBA eliminator, but not just that. There is a bonus. Lima's IBO title will be up for grabs October 11th. So Boots can become an IBO junior middleweight champion on October 11th. Now, Eddie Hearn says once Boots becomes the IBO champion, he will take on Vergil in 2026. And also, according to Eddie Hearn, Jaron Boots Ennis has already signed his part of the contract. Now, where does Eddie get these contracts? Do they just draw these contracts up and tell Jaron Boots Ennis, yo, sign this, and I'll tell everybody that you signed your part of the contract and we're waiting for Vergil Ortiz? Because according to Vergil Ortiz manager Rick Merrican, they haven't received no offer from Eddie Hearn. Rick Merrican says, if I would receive the offer or a contract from Eddie Hearn, I will let you know. We haven't received anything. He calls Eddie Hearn a liar. And he finishes on this post, and this post is on Instagram and you want to read it. He says, matter of fact, we're in deep negotiations with someone with a bigger name than Boots Ennis. And what I'm thinking is they're negotiating with Keith Thurman. And if it's Keith Thurman, I'm not trusting Keith Thurman until he gets in the ring. That's how the PBC duped Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu thought he was fighting Keith Thurman. He ended up fighting the 6'5" Amazon, Sebastian Fundora. Now we have Inoue versus Nakatani and Boots Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz in 2026. That is a good start for the new year. How times change, right? First, David Benavidez and Samson said they would never fight in Saudi Arabia. Now, David Benavidez has the backing of Turki Al-Sheikh to fight Bivol, Canelo, and Beterbiev. I guess it helps with your choices when you realize Al Heyman doesn't have any money for you. Now, David Benavidez says he's up to fighting Beterbiev if he gets past Anthony Yarde. And I hope that is true. And I've been saying this for the longest. If David Benavidez claims to be the Mexican monster and he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez, which I still think he should have got the fight over Crawford at 168, but it did not happen. So you go up to 175 and you rule 175. And the first steps to doing that is getting past Anthony Yarde, and you beat Beterbiev and Bivol, Canelo has no choice but to see you. The fans would demand that fight. Plus, it would be for undisputed at 175. And you're going to tell me that the Sheik's not going to back that fight? If David Benavidez can achieve undisputed at 175, him and Canelo is the biggest fight in boxing. That's if the self-proclaimed Mexican monster wants it. It's right in front of him. He has Turkey's backing. Let's see what happens.
Terence Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez right after he fought Sean Porter. So because I just knew, like, as far as in that weight class, Terence Crawford is like the greatest. So I just feel as though with Canelo's style and like the style of boxing that he got, I think and this is before Bivol did it, but I thought like Terence Crawford was the only guy who I felt as though could have beat Canelo with his style. GGG, Bivol, Floyd, I thought all of them had a great jab.
Okay.
Like, I thought all of them had a great jab. I thought Bivol jab was insane. I thought Triple G jab was amazing too. I think Bud is a southpaw. I think that's the part that kind of that's underestimated about the fight. I think him being a southpaw makes it a little harder for Canelo. I think Canelo has some type of trouble with southpaw. When I watched him fight John Ryder.
Yep.
John Ryder wasn't that good. It's just Canelo was fighting against the southpaw, and it made it a little bit harder than usual. But with the Madrimov fight, I just felt like Madrimov is a good fighter, and stylistically, he's a lot different than Canelo.
You know, I can't get over Shakur Stevenson, the crazy stuff he say. Like, he'll say Tyson Fury's better than Ali. He's not the only one. Bob Arum says some stuff like that. But it's crazy. Why would you think that? And then he says Sugar Ray Robinson was a bum. And a lot of boxing experts think Sugar Ray Robinson is probably the best fighter to ever live. And some people pick Harry Greb, but Harry Greb, or should I say Greb, it's hard to get footage of Greb in actually a fight. But you see old boxing magazines say Greb is probably one of the best fighters to ever live. But I can't judge him because there's no footage. But with Shakur Stevenson's talking about styles, he's talking about Terence Crawford switching to southpaw and going back to orthodox. And he says he believes Canelo has problems with southpaws. To me, I think the biggest factor that Bud has, first, it's going to be his speed. If he can carry the speed from 147 to 154 to 168, that's going to be interesting. And also, for his size, Terence Crawford has some very long arms. So the jab in this fight for him is going to be very important. But as far as Canelo having no answers for Bud Crawford, we're not going to know that till they get in the ring. You know, I mean, we don't know if Crawford has the answer to Canelo's power. That's another big factor in this fight. Can he take Canelo's power? Because Canelo is going to land. At the end of the day, September 13th, a lot of questions will be answered in the ring. I can tell you one thing. This fight is not going to be like everybody thinks it's going to be. And I've been on record, and I might be wrong as well. I said it's going to be a very competitive chess match at the beginning. Fireworks won't start until the second half of the fight. I don't see no quick knockout. But then again, boxing is the theater of the unexpected. Canelo might flatline him in the first round. But anyway, leave your thoughts and comments below. Beezy, I'm gone.